Shot is that's what
Yeah.
Golden Klein.
Golden Klein.
Over at the
Gavitsar.
Oh god, you're really close to the camera there. I'm gonna hear that in my editor like 10 times and it's gonna be so loud. I'm sorry, me. Actually, I shouldn't be the one apologizing. You should be apologizing.
Well, I'm sorry that you got me before I was able to sit down and get my coat.
That's fair.
My coat, I mean.
So welcome to the next episode of the Fear Podcast, the final episode of the Winter Storm Saga.
Yes.
So you might remember that we made the bad comedy episode and there was snow outside. Is there still snow outside?
No.
Not really. It's pretty much gone now. But we made that episode. Yeah, it's like gone. We made that episode, and then a few days later, then the snow was bad. We couldn't leave, so we made another episode.
We couldn't leave. We couldn't. All the food places closed. We didn't have internet.
So we made another episode that was even shorter than the bad comedy episode, around the same length.
The anime
episode. And then now we've done a third set of movies that was done the most
completely spur
of the moment. Like the anime one was at least stuff you had on a list.
Even Mr. Megorium's was like,
yes.
It came upon us in secret, but like we had time to plan it.
Literally, this one was we finally got the internet back. We have the internet back.
We had the internet back.
So we were gonna watch Wonder Woman 84 because I haven't seen it.
Right. Oh, by the way, hello, greetings, spinning lights, Bob, mental sequel, as always. Welcome to the Fear Podcast. We forgot to do
with Coleman Hahn, Kirk and Eddie. We're not gonna do it. 20 minutes into the video this time.
But we wanted to look up Wonder Woman 1984,
but then
because we had watched Birds of Prey,
which is I might make a video on that.
Yeah,
just
separate video, but just
or maybe I already have.
Thoughts.
I don't know.
Good. Don't know why it got buried.
So then we were gonna watch Wonder Woman 84 just to like catch up on all the DC movies before the
Snyderverse.
But then we remembered that the HBO Max deal is really stupid, and each movie is only on the streaming service for a month, and then it's only in theaters. So like, right now you can probably only see it in theater.
I remember watching Wonder Woman in March, right? Not March. In
January.
In Christmas.
Yeah. During
Christmas, on Christmas Day, and then it was gone. Which, by the way, that means we probably need to like, as soon as the Snyder Justice League is available. Like, I need to get you down there.
I don't think the Snyder Cut is like that though, because the Snyder Cut isn't like a theatrical movie that they're. It's like a strip. So I don't think it's gonna. But we probably should still watch it within a month of its release,
right?
Just to be safe.
At the latest, like end of March.
Yeah. But so we were gonna watch that and we didn't. But we had already made popcorn, so we're sitting here scrolling through movies.
And then on HBO, like I look through HBO Max, I'm like, okay, there's got to be something to watch. And then I find Journey 2, The Mysterious Island,
The Mysterious
Island,
starring
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Josh Hutcherson,
who we didn't mention this in the. We can talk about that later, but. So we started to watch Journey 2, and then they kept talking about Vernians,
and we're like, there's lore?
We were like, why is there lore? So then we went and found the first one, which had to be rented on Amazon Prime, because for some reason HBO Max has Journey 2, but not Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah. Then we watched that movie.
Then we watched Journey 2. Then the next day we were like, we need a third movie.
Well, so we made a promise to ourselves, like, because it was kind of late at the night. I said, if neither of us falls asleep during Journey 2,
Journey. If
neither of us falls asleep during the watching of both Journey to the Center of the Earth and Journey to the Center of the Island, then we would have to do a podcast episode. I was keeping my eye, like one eye on him the whole time because I did not want to do this episode.
Journey to the Center of the Earth is so boring. We thought we'd be like falling asleep.
Yeah.
So then after watching those two, we're like, okay, we need a third movie. So then the next day, we watched Jack Black's Gulliver's Travels.
Not to be confused with like the 96 version, or the 86 version, or like the 75 version.
All the versions of Gulliver's Travels, and none of them are good.
Yeah.
And then we watched Kung Fu Hustle for fun because we needed a palate cleanser after.
So let's real quick like go over what isn't related to the podcast, but we've watched in the meantime.
We also watched some Scooby-Doo now that we got the internet.
We finished season 1 of Scooby-Doo.
Yes, we finished season 1. We watched
I'll give a review of season 1 right now. I wasn't super hot on the first half of season 1 when it was like still trying to find its voice and it didn't really know what it wanted to be. It had some overarching plot elements, but they weren't really in the foreground. But what was in the foreground was a lot of dumb, annoying relationship drama bullshit.
Yes.
But then the second half of season 1 really found its footing. It had a good sense of comedy to it, but also a good sense of story development. The relationship drama took a backseat most of the time, and the characters really got a chance to like sort of express themselves and evolve their relationships. And then we got to the finale of season 1, and I'm just like,
why don't we just talk about the last 4 episodes? So first, I think this was the episode that first got me watching weekly. Was where they're helping Fred's dad, the mayor.
Right.
Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. spoilers, unironically, by this point in the show, and that's like that actually means something. Yeah. Unlike any other.
Spoilers is in there's actually stuff to spoil now. So be warned.
So yeah, just skip to the end of this segment.
So Fred's dad is being haunted by Pericles because he has.
We don't know. That's the reveal at the end.
The reveal is that he's being haunted by Pericles.
He's haunted by a ghost because he has a piece of the planispheric disc,
which the Scooby Gang got earlier. Which the Scooby Gang got a version earlier.
The Scooby Gang has one. The mayor has one.
And so this leads the gang to start questioning the mayor's sort of.
The mayor was always sus, but
this is
where he gets really sus.
Because like they catch him on video pretending to be haunted or pretending to be attacked, when in actuality he's just closing the door to go find
the piece and protect it. And apparently he stole that piece from Pericles years before. We don't know why yet. So I really like that episode.
Yeah, that's a very good episode.
That's a very good
And then the episode after that one is
the episode after that one has no long-term plot significance.
I don't even think Mr. E or Pericles show up.
No, but it's revolved around the other. So there are the two funniest side characters are the mayor and Sheriff Bronson Stone.
Yeah.
The first one was about the mayor.
Bronson Stone, because that's his name.
That's his first name is Sheriff. And yeah, this episode, Dead Justice, is one of the funniest episodes. I'd argue I'd argue only the Orc Biker episode might be
The Orc
funny.
Biker and some of the jokes in the Scooby-Doo sidekick episode.
Yeah. Like
the concept of
Dead Justice, the like skeleton sheriff, has a really good design.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the focus on Sheriff Bronson, played by Patrick Warburton, is anytime you focus on the Patrick Warburton character,
he knocks it out. He knocked it out of the park in this
because I love
episode. Did they get? Wait, is that the episode where it gets set up that Fred?
That's Fred and Daphne get engaged at the end of that episode.
Was real.
The only knock.
Because it was like, wow, even for these characters, this feels really sudden and out of nowhere.
Well, and I like that even the rest of the Scooby Gang, when they find out like an episode later, are like, really?
Aren't
you a little young? Thankfully, this engagement breaks off after about 2 episodes because the next episode they're starting to investigate the old Mystery Inc. stuff, like really get into it.
Yeah.
But we also have a subplot mystery of the week that isn't very good.
No.
Because it's all based around this rivalry between Professor Hatecraft H.P. Lovecraft knockoff from an earlier episode.
I wonder if his books are also racist.
And a like pastiche of Stephanie Meyer's Twilight. One of the least timeless Scooby-Doo things of all time.
Absolutely.
The episode has Fred using a smartphone that looks like a flip phone. It's very weird.
It also, like, I think this episode also sets up, like, a framing device that, like, the original Scooby Gang takes place, the original Mystery Inc. takes place in, like, the 60s. Which is like, okay, then when the fuck does this take place?
Yeah.
Because they can't be that old, because, like, we see some of them in modern day.
But then we have the last episode, which continues this, and where they're now looking for the treasure and the freak of Crystal Cove that scared away Mystery Inc. Which
I was really disappointed with the freak at first, because I'm like, oh god, is this gonna be like our big?
He was freaked out that it was gonna be, because they introduced the freak in the episode before, and made him look like he's gonna be a big bad.
Well, because they explain, like, this guy is the reason that Mystery Inc., the original Mystery Inc. broke up. And I'm like, oh god, if this is going to be our big bad who broke up Mystery Inc. and is probably going to break up Mystery Inc. again, that sucks, because he looks so lame and feels so lame.
That's, like, kind of what... I mean, I guess technically that is what happens, but it's not this, like, them genuinely... Like,
it turns out to just be, like, a guy in a mask.
And in fact, that's the major reveal of the end of season 1. Again, spoilers.
Yeah.
It's Fred Jones's father, the mayor, who is not actually Fred's father, because Fred's true parents are Brad and Judy.
The Daphne and Fred
stand-ins of the original Mystery Inc. gang.
And then, like, Fred gets angry and is like,
Mystery Incorporated is dead! Which is definitely the worst part of this season finale.
Easily the worst line.
Because they've literally already, like...
At the start of this season.
They've literally... Or
at the start of this half of the season.
They've literally already done the Mystery Inc. breaking up thing before, so there's no way that anyone who's watching the show isn't already tired of that idea. Even if they gave a more justified reason this time.
And if you know anything about Scooby-Doo, it's even worse, because it's like, oh god, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
Why do people keep trying to think that breaking up the Scooby Gang, even if it's just for a forced tension plot device, will ever work?
But how did you feel about the rest of that? Because I like the Mayor Jones reveal.
I like the Mayor Jones reveal.
Because you think he's sus, but you don't think he's like a full-on villain.
For some reason, I thought it was going to happen later in the show, but I guess this makes sense for like a
It does make sense. Especially when you see where the story's going, because I'll tell you this right now, Brad and Judy enter the picture at some point, and they're also, like, interesting. It's this midway point of, like, the Scooby, like an old Scooby gang that tore themselves apart, is the narrative they're, like, going for.
That seemed to be what they were going for before, but, like...
Yeah.
Then they threw in that weird, like, freak tangent, and I'm like, are they simplifying this to where it's like, oh no, they just got spooked by a bad guy, and that's why they broke up.
The freak like convinced them to break up.
He basically just blackmailed them.
Yeah, he just blackmailed them. But the main thing is he was working with Pericles, and then he betrayed Pericles, and that's why Pericles has the scar on his eye. And I love Pericles' role in that too. He steals the disc when everybody's frantic, and then is like, 2 down, 4 to go, and then he flies away, and Scooby's like, I'll catch you, or my name isn't Scooby-Dooby-Doo, which was a nice way to end it in Scooby-Dooby-Doo, but like as a dramatic.
Yeah.
Professor Pericles also, he fucking kills Ed Machine.
Yeah,
the guy that works for Mr.
Murder was done.
Like
there was a murder.
I love that.
If we had stuck around longer, we would have gotten there would have been a body.
Yeah. I love that scene. I love the way that he like cheerily says, "Hello, Ed Machine," when Ed walks into the room.
Pericles has got a great VA.
His voiceover, his like creepy German accent is so...
Yeah. It's both charming and menacing.
It's charming and menacing, exactly.
But like, once I reached the finale, I honestly just didn't really know what to think about it, because like, I enjoyed my time in the second half of season 1 a lot, and I really like I really liked where the story was going up until that point, but then when we got to the end of season 1, I'm like, I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I'm going to enjoy. But I don't know if I like where I think this is going. I think I need to see more to get a proper gauge because I didn't really like the way that like the ending of that episode kind of implied that this was like becoming the Fred show.
It protagonistizes
Yeah,
Fred,
it very much made Fred the protagonist and everyone else and also Rand.
Yeah.
Which I never like when like a Scooby show makes one Scooby character the most important. Because it ruins the group dynamic that they have. That's one of the reasons why Scrappy-Doo is so bad. It's like, it's Scrappy-Doo and the Scooby-Doo gang. Yeah. It's not the Scooby-Doo gang with a sidekick tagging along.
Can you imagine if Scrappy-Doo, could you imagine if Scrappy-Doo and Pericles met? Pericles would just kill Scrappy-Doo in like one episode.
Or they would team up.
They'd team up, but Scrappy-Doo would be so hilariously incompetent.
Scrappy-Doo would be the bumbling sidekick.
He would be a pawn to throw under the bus.
Yeah.
Pericles is like.
But then he would come back. As like a full-grown dog be like a true villain. And that's how they tie it into the live-action Scooby-Doo.
Mystery Inc.'s only Scrappy-Doo mention is in... I don't
like
even remember which episode that was, but they're in some like museum of their old encounters or something, and they see a statue of Scrappy-Doo.
They also see one of Flim Flam.
Oh my god. They see a statue of Scrappy-Doo, and Fred's like, we don't speak of him anymore, and then they walk away.
Yeah. Once I finish the show, I'll give you guys a full breakdown of the Scooby-Doo timeline.
Oh god. But let's talk about Journey to the Center of the Fear podcast.
Gulliver travels to the Journey to the Center of the Fear podcast, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh my god, let's stop. Okay.
At the center of the earth. If you couldn't tell from the fact that we just spent like 20 minutes talking about literally anything else.
We don't want to talk about these. I don't know why we did this episode.
Okay, so Journey to the Center of the Earth
stars Brendan Fraser and Josh Hutcherson.
So yeah, and the sequel stars Dwayne Johnson and Josh Hutcherson. So it's literally just Himbo Model 1.5 and Himbo Model 2.5.
Yeah.
Journey to the Center of the Earth is boring.
It's boring. In the first like 10 or 20 minutes, it seemed like it might be kind of like there was it might be kind of interesting. Brendan Fraser campy.
Well, I thought it was going to be interesting just due to the fact that like there was one scene in that.
The editing was so bad in the opening that at one point it seemed like Brendan Fraser came into a room that Brendan Fraser was already in. But he was actually walking into a different room.
It was straight up on that level. Like he was having a conversation with someone, and then they cut to a shot of Brendan Fraser entering an almost identical looking room, and I think he walks to the same person.
Yeah, no, it was a different guy. It was his assistant versus his.
But regardless, it looked terrible.
He plays a professor who's gonna.
None of the rest of the movie looks that bad. It's just.
I mean, the CG does.
The CG looks bad.
This one came out in 2008, and the CG looks like live-action Scooby-Doo.
I hate that you're right.
Like that era.
It's of that quality of the early 2000s, late 90s sort of. When CG was becoming big. And nobody knew how to make it look good.
Okay. Both of these movies are 3D movies, and you can tell because they do the 3D shots.
Hang on. That's how we'll justify it. It's the 3D episode.
That's what you were doing.
3D.
In the beginning, Brendan Fraser is playing with a yo-yo, and then Josh Hutcherson takes the yo-yo, and it's like, oh, cool, CG. Journey 2, it should be at like 20 minutes.
Yeah, 18 minutes.
Journey 2, The Mysterious Island, which I...
Are we already going on a journey?
No. I'm just saying that it's 3D. It has 3D stuff too, but it's much less noticeable.
It wasn't that much a bit bigger of a budget, but CG looks so much better.
Journey to the Center of the Earth. So It stars Brendan Fraser and Josh Hutcherson. Josh Hutcherson is the only consistent like character between these two movies.
The secret main protagonist.
This is actually Josh Hutcherson's teen YA franchise. It's just
one of the 50 teen YA
But this is
franchises.
the only one where he's the lead.
Nah, I guess.
He
was the lead. He was like the main antagonist. He was the primary antagonist in Vampire's Assistant.
Oh God, what?
Yeah.
What is that? Never mind. Josh Hutcherson is becoming Josh Hutcherson is becoming a plague for us. First.
Well, no, he's become a plague for me. He's been a plague for me all my life because he's been in every single.
I don't know. I just never knew who he was before the Hunger Games. But then we watch Item Number 4, and he's in the opening of that. Then we watch RV, which I didn't realize he was the kid in that. The kid that we didn't say this in the bad comedy episode, so I have to say it now. If The Incredibles was a live action film, Josh Hutcherson would have played Dash.
Yes.
In RV, he is basically just Dash.
He's playing Black Dash, which I guess just equates
Dash trying to be like black.
Dash trying to be black, which just means get Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah. Josh Hutcherson is just like live action Dash.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a compliment.
It's not.
But okay, let's do a quick breakdown.
Back to Journey.
No, first let's do a quick breakdown of Josh Hutcherson's career. So it starts with RV, then it goes to Zathura, then it goes to like...
Is RV before Zathura?
Yeah. Then it goes to Vampire's Assistant, then it goes to Item Number 4, then it goes to Journey to the Mysterious Island. No, then it goes to Journey to the Center of the Earth. Then it goes to Item Number 4. Then it goes to Journey to the Mysterious Island.
Wasn't he also in Holes, though?
No.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like I've heard you guys say he was in Holes. Like, I feel like every time I ask, like before I would ask, like, what was Josh Hutcherson in, and people would say Holes, but maybe...
I don't know who is telling you that Josh Hutcherson is in Holes.
Somebody on the Discord. Somebody's
trying to gaslight you on the Discord.
I've never seen Holes, so everybody just tells me that people were in Holes. Like, Gus from Psych was in Holes. I'm like, sure, alright, I guess.
Gus from Psych was in Holes?
That's what I've heard. I think people are just gaslighting me into thinking that every actor was in Holes. I guess we have to watch Holes at some point.
Probably.
The Fear pod.
Because he's been in the bottom line is that he is like a secret phenom. He is one of the four...
A secret what?
He is a secret phenom. He is one of the 4 horsemen of the Fear-apocalypse. It's him, Jake Abel, Matthew McFadden, and he hasn't arrived yet, but I imagine it would be Nick Cage.
Okay, the difference between Josh Hutcherson and Jake Abel is when Josh Hutcherson is in a movie, I groan, and when Jake Abel is in a movie, I'm like, this is funny that he's in this.
Well, it's because we know Josh Hutcherson can be a good actor.
Yeah.
But we have no evidence that Jake Abel can be a good actor. So you're always entertained by how bad he is.
And we are desperate to not be talking about Journey to the Center of the Earth. Holy shit, what are we even talking about anymore?
Hero Boy! Oh my god.
What are you doing?
I'm looking up Josh Hutcherson's discography. He has been in a lot of shit. But yeah, like his first big break was like... Actually, his first big break was like... Polar Express voiceover.
Was he the main kid?
Hero Boy, so I assume yes.
Hero Boy. Does that character not have a name?
Apparently not.
Does the kid in the Polar Express not have a name?
2004 was the year of Josh. Tom Hanks, Hero Boy. What? Okay, Josh Hutcherson and Tom Hanks are Hero Boy.
What?
I don't know how.
Let me see this. Give me your phone. Give me your phone. Give me your phone.
Okay, look. It says Hero Boy. That's in Josh Hutcherson's IMDb. Then you open it up, and Tom Hanks, Hero Boy.
Oh, no, you know what I think?
He probably did
He did some motion capture
Right.
for it. Didn't they? We were watching some Polar Express video that you pulled up on YouTube this week, and I think they mentioned that.
Yeah.
We have been stuck here doing nothing for the past week, so
we are
delved in fear. We have been bathed and vatted in it.
We have stared into the eye of chaos.
We have journeyed to the center of the fear.
And we've been so bored there that we're just like, dude, let's just do anything.
Okay, let's just
journey
talk about
to the center of the earth
so we can get it over with.
Journey to the center
Brendan
of the earth.
Fraser, Josh Hutcherson, go to find Brendan Fraser's Josh Hutcherson's uncle.
Even though he was clearly like in some version of the original script, he was clearly meant to be like his estranged dad, biological father.
But then Josh Hutcherson's actual dad was the first one to go to the center of the earth. They're trying to find him. They go to the center of the earth. They meet hot Icelandic girl, love interest character. They try to set up. Yes, this character is just young enough for Brendan Fraser to flirt with, and just old enough for Josh Hutcherson to have a kid crush on, or just young enough. Other way around. But
that also means that it's just creepy enough.
She's not a good age for either.
Yeah, it just means that it's just creepy enough that it's like, oh god, Brendan Fraser is hitting on this like 20-year-old.
It's like my uncle trying to hit on like a college student a few years older than me.
Absolutely.
Like it's that.
It's not. It's supposed to be like funny, but it ends up just looking gross.
So,
but anyway,
the three of them go to the center of the earth, and the center of the earth is really, really fucking boring.
Yeah,
it's just an island and like a series of obvious sets on a sound stage, and like an ocean with an island and a skybox.
There's nothing on this island. It's just like a big.
They get there. They find the dad's dead body. I think. They give him a burial, and then they immediately are trying to figure out how to get back to the surface.
Yeah, like, as soon as they get there, they're like, okay, we've gotten to the center of the earth.
There's no wonder, there's no adventure, there's no journey.
No. But they get there by
They stumble down here by accident.
And then they have to leave, and then they immediately leave. And even the leaving is not a journey.
Even the leaving is boring. They take a boat.
They build a raft. No, there's no
you don't see them. It's like
there's nothing exciting about the raft building. It just happens. They just get the materials and build a raft. I think it shut off.
No, it didn't. But keep talking.
But anyway, they build a raft. Then they go and they hook up a sail to go parasailing. And then on the ocean, that's the first time we get an actually cool fucking set piece. Okay, actually cool in theory set piece.
There's like piranhas and then bigger like dinosaurs. Yeah. Okay, the beginning of the movie shows his dad running from a T-Rex, and then for like
we thought, okay, this might not be good. This might not be good, but at least it'll be fun and entertaining.
And it was not. The CG is so bad though that like the piranhas look so bad. The dinosaurs that are eating the water dinosaurs
looks
that are
bad.
There's so many. Okay, early on in the movie, they have a shot of Brendan Fraser pushing his bike out the front door, and you can tell that they CGI'd a bike into a house hallway, and it looks noticeably bad.
They CGI'd a yo-yo.
They CGI'd the yo-yo thing. It's so.
I kept expecting that to come back.
I almost feel like the effects are bad. Like, did we need 3D glasses for the effects to not be bad or something? Like, what is going on?
Even with 3D,
even
with 3D glasses, this would have looked like dog
shit. You can tell this is the early era of 3D where they think they can hide bad CGI.
This is 2008.
But it's early 3D. 3D wasn't popular until like 06 at least, right?
Well, Avatar made it popular in 2009.
Yeah. So that's what this is like.
But 3D has been around since the 80s.
Yeah, but this was early popularity of it, where movie producers are like, oh, we can hide bad CG if we just put in a funny 3D yo-yo, haha.
There's like so many. We could go on a whole tangent about 3D, but let's not.
We're not.
So bad CG fish come. They fight off the fish. Josh Hutcherson
somehow gets a phone call from his mom
in the center of the fucking earth,
and then throws the phone into the ocean.
So
that literally did not need to happen.
No,
in the movie.
It was just for like a stupid phone joke.
Yeah, which wasn't even like delivered like a joke. I don't understand. So then they get to like this desert-ish area that's like leading to this volcano geyser that will launch them back to the surface.
And like this is real.
Josh Hutcherson gets separated.
This is the one time in the movie where like they meet actual like spooky crazy animals and stuff, but it's so fucking boring.
Wait, what animals? All I remember were the glowing blue birds. Oh yeah,
the plants
I completely forgot about the Venus flytrap scene. With Brendan Fraser and love interest.
The scene that they stole from King Kong.
Yeah. So that happens. That scene, I guess, I don't know. That happens. Josh Hutcherson gets chased by a T-Rex. The T-Rex is definitely the best looking CG in the movie. I wouldn't say it's really good. It's like, just like okay for 2008.
Saying that this is the best CG is more damning indictment than it is.
It's more that you can tell what little CG budget they had was spent on the T-Rex.
It's like a 6 out of 10 at best.
Yeah. They escape the T-Rex. They take the geyser. They get launched on a Mount Vesuvius. They like careen. They ride this like T-Rex bone skull up the geyser and then slide down the mountain in Italy. And then the main guy, Brendan Fraser, kisses the girl. Nobody has any chemistry in this movie. The girl
Brendan Fraser doesn't have chemistry with the kid, except for like one scene.
They don't have non-chemistry, but there's no like Journey 2 almost.
But the girl and Josh and Brendan and the girl have non-chemistry, complete non-chemistry.
They try to do this joke where she's like their guide, and so Brendan Fraser and her do these back and forth jokes of like, how much do I owe you for the guide now? And every time the jokes just like fall flat. Yeah. At one point I think I said it was a worse romantic attempt than Kangaroo Jack, which I don't think is true, but it's pretty damn bad. Journey to the Center of the Earth.
It's amazing, like these movies all prove how bad and forced like
yes,
stories are.
All three of these movies, Journey 2, and Gulliver's Travels, have cliche, bad, studio mandated romance stories.
And like, say what you will about Marvel, but like the fact that it's so weirdly sexless, and like the people who are in relationships in Marvel movies almost are always like from previous relationships before they get the superpowers or whatever. Like, it's so weirdly sexless that, like, it shows...
The one time they tried to introduce a distinctly romantic plotline with existing characters was fucking... Hulk. No, I was referring to Hulk and Black Widow.
And we know how badly that went.
We know how badly that went. Joss!
So anyway, say what you will about Marvel, but they've proven that, forced relationships are bad, and you don't need them to sell more tickets.
Journey to the Center of the Earth. Okay, so
I've never seen an adventure movie with so little adventure.
Yeah, really. Journey to the Center of the Earth is probably not the worst movie we watched. That honor goes to Gulliver's Travels, but it is definitely the most boring.
Like
this is a standard: the good, the boring, and the bad.
Yeah.
Not that Journey to the Mysterious Island. It's not good.
Yeah.
But it's like entertaining.
On an episode where we have better movies, it would probably be the one that gets exercised just by default.
Yeah.
But like, it's the best we have here. Aside from Kung Fu Hustle, which we're not even... Aside from Kung Fu
Hustle, which isn't even officially one of the movies, but we're probably going to end up talking about it for longer than Journey to the Center of the Earth. Alright, what is this? Some kind of Journey to the Mysterious Island? Just in case we didn't make it clear, it's Journey number 2, the Mysterious Island.
But it's funner to say Journey to the Mysterious Island.
This one...
This has a really bad opening, but the rest of the movie is just like It's a perfectly good, serviceable.
Yeah. So The Rock. So the way
everything the first Journey to the Center of the Earth wasn't.
So The Rock plays Josh Hutcherson's stepfather, and now Josh Hutcherson. Oh, we didn't even mention this because it's barely important in the first movie, but the second movie leans into it. One of the premises of this series is that all of Jules Verne's novels were like real life. And there's this secret society that we never really see
of
people called Vernians that believe that this is all real. And this is introduced.
It matters slightly more in the second movie.
In the second movie, they refer to it more. Like in the first 10 minutes, Josh Hutcherson is talking about Vernians to his stepfather, The Rock, who's just like confused.
He's like,
sure, but I need to bond with my stepson who hates me.
Yeah,
so
he's
sure,
like,
I guess.
He's like, this sounds really dumb, and I don't believe any of it, but it's the only time he's ever gonna talk to me, so fuck it.
Yeah. Because now Josh Hutcherson is the experienced adventurer. So it's almost like the roles are flipped from the first movie, except even Brendan Fraser's character wasn't much of an adventurer, so it's not that much of a flipping.
No, like none of them were adventurers.
It's so clear they couldn't get Brendan Fraser and The Rock because
they brought in a grandpa.
They introduced Josh Hutcherson's grandpa, who's said to be the original Vernian in the family. Which I guess checks out, because the uncle, Brendan Fraser's character, isn't really a Vernian. He doesn't believe it until they're down there. None of them do, which is why this Vernian thing is not which is why it's barely mentioned in the first movie, and then the second movie. The second movie establishes it in a terrible
strong Sorcerer's Apprentice energy, where it's like, okay, like that thing that you think is like childish, like magic, it's actually real. And not only is it real, it's science. It's like
as dumb and contrived as this premise is, at least in the second movie,
they have fun with it.
Yes, they make the mysterious island simultaneously the one from the Jules Verne novel and also the Lilliputian island from Gulliver's Travels,
which we'll get to later.
And also Treasure Island from. So
I think
they also involve the Nautilus from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, tying it all back to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
This is all taking place in one large cinematic universe.
The FEAR cinematic universe.
The FCU.
So that's like, even though it's contrived, they use it to like introduce some. It's not just we get to the island and then we need to leave immediately.
No, they explore the island.
They explore the island a little bit. They are presented with. They realize the island is also the lost city of Atlantis in ruins, and that the island is goes underwater in a cycle.
They originally think it's going to sink, like it's not going to sink for a while, but then they realize, oh no,
it's going to sink in a few days, and then they realize it's a few hours, which is a much better like we need to get off the island stressor than the first movie's. The Earth is getting hotter, and it's getting hotter in here. And we never take our shirts completely off, even though it's like 130 degrees by the time we escape this place.
Fucking
just like an unseen threat that isn't interesting. Is what the first movie had. Whereas the second movie, the island is like changing.
The only way they can establish the tension is just to have like a temperature watch and be like, oh no.
Whereas in the second movie, they have to get to the Nautilus so they can escape.
There's a clear point. There's a clear like point of interest.
And there's different mini objectives throughout the path, so things are kind of changing.
And there's observable degradation with how much water is like showing up.
There's also a cool sequence. In a lot of ways, this movie feels like proto Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Absolutely.
And that's not just because The Rock is the lead in both.
Like they both arrive in like really weird ways. They have The Rock, a
fat
character, hot girl, and other guy.
Yeah, and they have adventurer who's been there longer than the rest of the crew.
Right.
Which in that movie is Nick Jonas's character, but in this is the grandfather.
Yeah.
The grandfather played by Michael Caine. Vanessa Hudgens plays the girl, and then her father is the fat man his character is like, if this movie was made now, he'd be played by Michael Pena.
Yeah.
Because they write the dialogue like it's a Michael Pena
funny
character.
Hispanic
But
character.
but also funny fat. It's
funny fat.
It's like
Hispanic
Michael
character.
Pena and Jack Black fused, but this actor is not funny enough to.
With none of the charm or ability.
The only time the actor makes it work is when they give him dramatic stuff to do, like his desire to send his daughter to college being the motivator that
gets him on the island.
That gets him on the island and makes him go to the volcano of gold when they need to be escaping.
Right. Yeah, like, and those were...
And those scenes were fine.
Yeah, they did their job well. They conveyed the emotions.
But when they were trying to make him, like, funny man, it wasn't working at all.
No, absolutely. I think it's just, like, they gave him, like, the lowest brow comedy. Like,
super low.
Poopy jokes.
Poopy, funny, fart, whimper fart.
But there are some genuinely good jokes in this movie.
Yeah, and the characters...
None of them with him, but there are
And
good
the
jokes.
actors, like, all have chemistry with each other, because The Rock has chemistry with everyone. But even Josh Hutcherson, you can tell, is much better in this movie, because he has, like...
5 years
more of experience. This came out in 2011, 2013?
2012.
Okay. The Island...
2011.
The Island actually looks cool, and they do some good set pieces with it. Like, at one point, they're riding bees being chased by a bird.
Right.
There's a meme scene where The Rock is flexing his pecs.
You've probably seen
to
this.
flick
If you've seen
berries
any
off
clip
of it.
from this movie, you've seen this.
You've seen that, yes. And he's doing this to tell Josh Hutcherson what he should do to woo Vanessa Hudgens' character.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, when he's actually succeeded in the wooing, The Rock leans over. He's like, "Flex your pecs," and he's like, "I'm not gonna flex my pecs. Pop your pecs." And it's funny. It's like it's a good dynamic. I'd say the biggest flaw is they set up this relationship where The Rock needs to learn to trust the experienced adventurer Josh Hutcherson more. What a laughable sentence. And Josh Hutcherson needs to learn to, like, love his stepfather more. But neither of them really ever learn anything or have to, like, trust each other throughout the movie.
Like, there's never a point where either of them are in the wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have to learn to be better. They're always, like, there's one time where they're trying to do it, where it's like, Josh Hutcherson wants to go to the Gold Mountain.
And The Rock's like, we need to leave. But
the problem is that The Rock is right. They don't have time for this.
Yeah.
They're on a tight schedule.
And that's supposed to be a scene where he needs to learn to trust Josh Hutcherson. But then the Volcano of Gold is kind of a waste, because they never, like...
The only time they go back there...
to make the journey back more stressful and time crunchy.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest issue with it, is just, like, some of the plotting's not great.
Also, like, there's... The other problem is that, like... Yeah, another small flaw is that, like, there's clearly, like, this conflict between
the grandfather and the stepfather, but the grandfather's like, you're not his real father.
And they eventually resolve it, but the problem is that, like, we never really get to, like, see the proper scene where they resolve it.
Yeah, and also they
have the scene by firelight where, like, they realize there's more to each other.
Where The Rock sings his own version of What a Wonderful World, aka the Madagascar song.
Yeah, the Madagascar song. And we learn that, like, the reason why...
a generation of 60s fans by calling that the Madagascar song.
They've been insulted plenty. It was a little bit more.
Boomers, it's our song. It's Alex the Lion's song now.
But like, we learned there, like, the reason why Rock wants to be such a strong force in Josh's life. He did not have a father figure in his life.
But I feel like the conflict...
But the problem is that, like, they never really investigate that after that scene.
There's also the issue that the grandfather and Josh Hutcherson just have this, like, instant rapport as if they've adventured before, but we've never seen this grandfather character before. It's so clear.
And they imply that, like, he's, like, an incredibly distant figure in Josh's life.
It's so clear that that some original version of the script had Brendan Fraser's character there instead of the grandfather.
Right.
And then they couldn't get him, so they wrote in a grandfather. So then his uncle, the other adventurer...
They couldn't afford Brendan Fraser in 2012, but they could afford Michael Caine.
I don't. Michael Caine seems like he takes anything just to keep himself busy.
Not even because he needs the money, just to keep himself busy.
He's one of those 80, 90 something year old actors who are just acting because they enjoy it too much to retire. He doesn't care if he's in a bad movie or a good movie. It's just something to keep him busy.
The same reason why Ian McKellen was in Cats.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm just bored.
Except it seems like even Ian McKellen didn't enjoy. It seems like he didn't find Cats.
Of course not. Of course not. Did you not see the scene he was in? It looked like it looked like there was a person off screen at all times with a gun pointed at him.
I'm taking this project. I think the conflict between The Rock and the actual member of Josh Hutcherson's family, or it would work better if it was the uncle Brendan Fraser.
Because we already have investment in that character.
Yeah. And he became a surrogate father figure for Josh Hutcherson.
So it would be less of a situation of, well, you're an asshole. No, you're an asshole. It'd be like, I'm trying to be a father figure. No, I'm trying to be the father.
Yeah, it would actually work a lot better.
Right. But regardless of our little nitpicks, this is
it's just an engaging.
If you show this to your kid, if you show this to your kids, they'll like it. I give it a solid
a whole generation of people my age, or maybe a little younger than my age, probably watched it as a kid and
we're entertained.
We're into it. Whereas Journey to the Center of the Earth would have bored the.
Journey to the Center of the Earth is a 4 out of 10 at best. It is boring and subpar.
This movie is a solid 6 out of 10.
Yeah,
it's not great or even technically good.
6 and at times cleaning close to 7, but mostly 6.
We looked up the Rotten Tomatoes and it was the first one at a 61, the second one at a 45, and we were flip those, and that's how we feel.
The first one is not atrociously bad. It's just so boring and not fun.
And now, if we're talking about 4 out of 10 movies, 6 out of 10 movies, now it's time
for a 1 out of 10 movie, a 2 out of 10 movie.
2, 1. We'll say 2 out of 10 just for the part where he goes to the island where he's small.
Yeah.
Which it just doesn't.
1.5 because of that dance song ending.
Oh my god. Gulliver's
Travel.
Gulliver's Origins.
Gulliver's Origins.
Gavatar.
Oh god, Sir Clip of Gavatar.
Maybe that might be the intro to the video. In fact, that's probably the intro to the video. Just the main character looking in fear.
The true main character.
I call him the main character without even thinking about it. So, Gulliver, played by Jack Black at his most. We saw him in Kung Fu Panda, and we realized he'd be a good man-child.
Hire Jack Black to play Jack Black.
Yeah.
It's Jack Black playing Jack Black playing Jack Black.
So, he's just some mailroom guy at some newspaper, magazine. I don't know.
I think it's like a journal.
But he has a crush on one of the travel writer.
Yeah.
So he's gonna go ask her out, and then he does the stupid thing where he can't do it because he's a big man baby. So he ends up telling a lie that makes her think he's a writer, and then he plagiarizes a bunch of stuff.
That's important because it's not.
The only lesson. This character, let's just get it out of the way right now. Gulliver is an unlikable character, and the only lesson he learns is to not tell lies.
Yeah, he's set up as this man-child who just does not grow up, who just never grew up and never had to take responsibility.
And he doesn't learn to do any of those things. He just learns to not tell lies.
Be true to yourself. Yeah, that's the lesson he learns.
Basically.
Not be better.
So he gets roped into doing this travel assignment to the Bermuda Triangle for her because he doesn't want to break the lie. Also,
there's an earlier scene with T.J. Miller.
T.J. Miller,
who I thought was Jared Leto.
Oh my god. So he ends up going to the Lilliputian Island, the Gulliver's Travel, the island.
The
mysterious island. Journey to the mysterious island.
Yes.
He ends up going there completely by accident.
Yeah.
And he's not even cool. He's not an adventurer or anything. No. He's just some lame-o. So then this movie, it kind of feels like incel man baby wish fulfillment.
Yes.
Because he ends up basically like a god of this island.
Everyone has to appease his desires.
After saving the kingdom by pissing on the burning like Capitol building.
Yeah.
After they get like under attack and they try to kidnap the princess, played by a woefully wasted Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt who knows she's better than this and is not even attempting to make
she's doing the most like hokey Victorian.
Okay, let's
quick,
let's go through the fucking cast of this movie.
We've got Jason Segel as Jack Black's tiny friend from Lilliputland, who is a simp for Emily Blunt's character.
We have Emily Blunt. We have Jack Black. We have Donna from Doctor Who
as the Queen.
We have James Connolly, who I think is Bill Connolly,
as the King.
He's probably played an old man in some movie. Some guy who I cannot remember the name of, but like
as General Edward Edwardian.
He's been in tons of stuff.
You've seen his face. He has a doughboy face.
Yeah, a very funny looking face.
And he's like almost good in this movie. Like he has his moments.
Almost good.
But it just doesn't. He's playing this like stiff, prim and proper general who hates Jack Black's character and is dating the prince. He's courting the princess. But then Jason Segel ends up stealing.
I think the problem is that he doesn't commit enough to the stiffness.
Yes.
Like he knows that this role is bad, but he's trying to make it work, but he doesn't believe in himself.
Yeah.
So it ends up feeling awkward.
And it feels so. There's this awkward dynamic where I think it's because it's because Jack Black isn't really filming in the same room as the rest of them all the time.
They filmed like every single segment with him in an entirely different location.
Yeah, there's no like chemistry between anyone in this movie because of that.
And especially not with the biggest get they had, James fucking Corden!
Oh yeah, James Corden's barely in this. You can tell this is 2011 James Corden.
2010 before he got big, James Corden.
Because he's playing just he's just like on the noble lineup.
He's the funny like...
They don't even do that many jokes with him. Mainly because most James Corden jokes are also fat jokes.
Right.
And they already have Jack Black.
Yeah.
So like, thankfully James Corden...
He's meant to be the quote-unquote comedic
servant
of the king.
I don't know, but we don't see that.
He's barely
We see blissfully little of him.
Yeah.
All I know, but man, I walked into there to get a napkin or something, because I think we were eating dinner at the time, and then I just hear you yell, James Corden, from in here, and I just run in yelling, no!
We yelled so much during this movie.
Yeah, we did. We probably... it wasn't that late that we watched it, so it was... But, because... So there was a scene. They build a house for Jack Black. This society definitely uses slave labor.
So much slave labor.
Let me make sure this is...
Oh my god.
Yeah, we're good. This society definitely uses... Yeah, because...
they build a building for this giant.
They're able to build a mansion for the giant in like a few days. And they build him like a little theater with like a fake TV screen that's actually like Lilliputians acting out movies, which is kind of a funny premise, but they don't really go any further with it.
Well, they just do like they just do him. And all it is they take movie scenes and then put Jack Black in there.
Because Gulliver literally because he's an asshole, he self-inserted himself into all of these movies and has convinced all of the Lilliputians that they're like real things that he was involved in.
Versions of his life.
There's a line where they're like, where his lie gets revealed, and they're like, I think that was in this scene, but they're like, what about when you and Captain Sparrow defeated the Joker and Magneto?
Oh.
There's also a scene where he made them build like a recreation of like Times Square, but all of the movie billboards are about him. So that's what there's
Gulliver's
the main one is X-Men Origins Wolverine, but it's like Gulliver.
It's center frame. Your eyes immediately go to it.
But there's a bunch of them. There's like Calvin Klein and Gulex watches and Gavatar.
Gavatar.
There's too many to count. But the best...
I took a picture, I'll post it here.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of pictures of this. But the most cursed bit of the movie is... This is actually kind of a great moment, but it's so great that it makes you sympathize with the antagonist.
Villain.
There's Edward Edwardian, General Edward Edwardian. At this point, he posed from his rank as general.
He's like stiff and traditionalist.
Yes, he's standing there in his Victorian gear, looking around at this this hellscape of a modern city full of Gulliver billboards.
Gulliver
just
is the evil.
in fear.
Gulliver has become the embodiment of capitalism.
Yes, like capitalism has taken over his society, and he has no power. And Gulliver, it's Gulliver fear hellscape.
So,
and in that moment, you're not supposed to like him, but you're like, wait, okay, he's actually like
kind of right.
Like
Gulliver is an asshole.
Yeah, like Gulliver's like, I mean, he's also an asshole. And then the next scene is him going to the enemy country that is vaguely non-white coded.
Oh, like incredibly like.
They're non-white coded, but they're also doing French accents.
There are the whites, and then there are the non-white.
But then they're also doing French accents at the same time.
Like,
to be
I
like
don't
England
even
versus
know.
France. It's weird. But he goes to them.
It's so uncomfortable.
He goes to them and is like he turncoats and sides with them. And at this point, you're like, of course he's gonna do that.
And so he uses these schematics he stole from like. Gulliver of like this.
It was from some gamer magazine that Gulliver had on the boat when he was coming to the island. He goes, I could never build a robot. And we're both like, okay, so there's a robot being built at some point.
Little did we know it would be built by the enemy, and it would be.
And it would look like Mr. Electric,
but worse.
It would look like Mr. Electric combined with in the MCU when there's characters in the Hulkbuster suit and they show their human faces like on the suit.
Yeah.
Which is always the worst effect in the MCU. But somehow this looks worse than Mr. Electric.
It only ever works when it's like the normal Iron Man suit.
Yeah. But this effect looks like worse than Mr. Electric and worse than that. They just combine them together.
It also looks a little like the giant pillar robots from Monsters vs. Aliens.
Oh god, you're right. So Edward Edwardian comes piloting a Gundam, this terrible Mr. Electric Hulkbuster Gundam mech,
and he beats up Jack Black
and gives him a wedge. Well, he doesn't even beat him up. He just literally holds him in a wedgie because this movie was written by a 12-year-old.
Yes.
And so then Gulliver's lies.
I'm surprised he didn't give him a swirly.
Oh my god. Gulliver's lot in a giant toilet.
The liar revealed.
Yeah, this is also a boring liar revealed movie. So the lie is revealed. There's also a painful bit before that where Gulliver gives Jason Segel's character play hard to get advice for like him being into Emily Blunt, which even as a kid I remember watching that scene because I'd seen this movie before and being like, this is bad. He's just telling him to be an asshole.
Yeah.
And then no surprise that doesn't work. We barely even mentioned Jack Black pissing on the Capitol.
We don't. Do we need to?
No, that's what makes them give him God status. None of them are like grossed out by this.
I guess
except Edward Edwardian.
I guess they just value people with large penises.
I don't know. This movie is dumb. So they send Gulliver to the island where they dare not go, which is the island where he's small.
Yeah.
And everything else is big. So that's like that's the only entertaining part of the movie because it has a bit of a dark edge to it.
And it makes Gulliver get like his comeuppance for like trying to take over Lilliput and assert his culture on this other culture.
Except he doesn't really get a comeuppance because Jason Segel comes to tell him, we need you to come back, like 10 minutes later.
Yeah, it's not great.
We don't see much of it. We just see him essentially forced to be a doll for this little girl, and one good shot where there's like some American naval outfit, and he's like, hey, are you like somebody? And it's like a skeleton.
Yeah.
Because this guy essentially was, I guess, captured as a doll, but not actually fed any real food, so it just rotted eventually. Like, that's a good, like, dark joke.
Yeah.
But they so quickly leave this setting that it's like, Okay, cool. Well, there's all the comedic potential. They leave this setting because Darcy Silverman of Manhattan, the woman, the travel writer who Jack Black was into, she found out about his lie, which she finds out by finding his phone, which somehow he has cell service here too. These movies, I think Journey to the Mysterious Island is the only one where they don't get cell service in a place where they shouldn't be getting cell service.
Absolutely.
But she comes to the island. So then she's there, and then you realize that, oh, okay, so now he's gonna save the girl. Jack Black's gonna save the girl that should have no reason to like him.
Yeah.
And then they're going to fall in love because movie. But they don't even they don't spend time having them fall in love.
No.
He literally just comes back to the island with Jason Segel, finds her chained up in the same place they originally had him chained up when he first showed up.
Yeah.
He tells her that he had a crush on her.
Then
he's like, this is probably embarrassing, and she's like, it's kind of sweet, and we're just like, no, it isn't.
Not. It absolutely is not.
So then he goes to fight the robot again. This time he wedgies the robot.
Yeah, because the robot had underwear.
Yay! And then the Lilliputians and the other guys
they're getting set to have a war.
They're like, we're about to go to war.
But Jack Black stops it by singing "War."
What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. And then the entire everyone in the movie
they have
does
a dance song
dance.
They have a dance song ending that isn't the true ending because then they go back to Manhattan.
And then we see Jack Black having the job that T.J. Miller had been promoted to originally, and being the boss of T.J. Miller and picking on T.J. Miller
for no real reason.
Not for no real reason.
Like just for
and
one.
He's dating Darcy now.
Like this is where it's really clear that it's nerd
incel
fulfillment because he doesn't have to change. He doesn't have to change any of his behaviors.
He goes to this island.
He just becomes the one in power now.
He becomes essentially a god there on this island. His god status gets challenged by Edward Edwardian, and then he
deserved to get a swirly.
Yeah,
he should have gotten a swirly.
He should have gotten. There should have been a giant toilet. And he should have gotten a giant swirly.
Yeah. Incels stop bullying people who don't like. Stop bullying people of marginalized groups and fan bases that you don't like. Bully incels. Incels do not deserve rights.
They just can't Edward Edwardian is such an unlikable character, and yet somehow you like
you like him more than the main character.
Not even necessarily, but I'm like
you relate to him more than the main character.
Yeah, I get just the Gulliver Manhattan hellscape shot. Okay.
It's
Gulliver's Travels is bad.
It's
we're gonna exercise Gulliver's Travels.
It is very bad. But first, do we want to talk about Kung Fu Hustle?
Let's talk about Kung Fu Hustle.
We watched Kung Fu Hustle as a palate
because we desperately were like I can't just watch Gulliver's Travels.
I want to watch a good movie.
I can't only watch Gulliver's Travels tonight.
So then we went on Netflix and we saw Kung Fu Hustle, and I was like,
which is a Chinese martial arts movie. Stephen Chow, is that what you said?
Yeah, by Stephen Chow.
Very fun, very JoJo-esque.
Very JoJo. It's about a bunch of it's about this gang, the Axe gang trying to take over a podunk.
Not even take over.
Well,
just this.
They get into conflict with this podunk town in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, this ghetto neighborhood. It's not. It's a neighborhood really. And it's all under this one landlord who's like this.
It was they're these secret kung fu masters, but to the people of the neighborhood, they're just like this fat landlady who always asks for rent and this sleazy landlord.
This movie is very subversive in that all of the master martial artists, including the one that they break out of prison for the third act of the movie,
are just normal people.
Are these very normal non-fighter looking people. Most of them don't even really want to fight. Everything in this movie is very casual and not taken super seriously, which is kind of the fun of it. There's this, the closest thing you could call to a main character is this guy who originally wanted to be a noble warrior,
but he got his ass kicked.
Yeah, as a child. So then he's
he became a thug.
He became a thug, but then by the end of the movie he becomes But even that is played kind of like tongue in cheek. Like he's the it's one of those like he's the chosen one, but he's not that good at what he's doing, and they know he's not that good at what he's doing until the very end of the movie where he unlocks his like stand requiem powers.
Yeah.
Basically. The martial arts in this movie is borderline stand stuff. Like there's these assassins that play like
guitar, like a sitar or something.
Yeah, and it like shoots out these like ghost sword things. And there's like the landlord lady can run at like super speed. This is such a weird movie.
It has it has both strong JoJo and Looney Tunes energy.
Yes. And this main character we're talking about is only barely the main character for the first. For the first hour of this movie, he'll be gone for like 20-minute segments. Yeah. The landlords are just as much main characters as this.
Yeah, like the main the role of main character keeps switching back.
It's not really clear. The story is very loose and casual, and it's not very immediately clear where it's going.
But that's okay because it's also very clear it's just about these characters and seeing them do cool fights. Like
action spectacle, and that's not to say it's like only spectacle, but even it's more like deep or symbolism are very on the nose and kind of comedic in nature.
They do the butterfly metaphor by literally showing a butterfly.
Yeah, it's very
tongue in cheek.
Oh wait, I like just restarted it like 5 minutes ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny and tongue in cheek. It's got a good sense of humor to it.
Yeah, I really liked it. I'm glad we watched it because it's easily better than any of the 3 movies officially.
In conclusion of this Fear podcast, where we review Journey to the Center of the Earth, Journey to the Mysterious Island, and Gulliver's Travels, our conclusion is watch Kung Fu Hustle.
Don't watch any of those 3 we just
But especially don't watch Gulliver's Travels, the movie which we shall exorcise.
Yes. Do you want to exercise right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. I'm like, do I have anything else to say about Kung Fu Hustle? And it's like, not really. We could talk about like all the
We could talk about the weird, fun fights, but
we don't need to.
No.
Just watch it.
Watch it for yourself.
It's not in English, and it's like fine. That's fine. It's not a dub. It's Netflix subs. Netflix are pretty good at Netflix.
You'll be exposed to an entire world of filmmaking you never knew about. If you can just get past the 1 inch barrier.
Kung Fu Hustle will lead nicely into
whatever
the Jackie Chan episode.
Whatever the quote is.
Even though it's not Jackie Chan.
No. Jackie Chan would have fit in perfectly.
Jackie Chan would have fit in this movie because it's a kung fu action comedy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Let me go get the lightsaber and the cat's teeth.
Yeah, the gang basically breaks this beast guy out of prison to take out this town. But then the main character who was originally working for them like does a turncoat and then fights the beast. And he does like a pummel from space. This movie's so like cool and silly at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it's always like cool, but it's also never takes itself too seriously.
Yeah.
So it also like it's full of like CGI, like objectively bad CGI, but it works for the like cartoonish nature.
It also looks better than most.
It also does look better than
watched.
Journey to the Center of the Earth, probably. I think. Yeah. All right.
Do you want to do it in here?
Yeah.
Alright. Gulliver's Travels.
Gulex. Gavatar.
Gulliver's Origins. You have cursed this earth with your unfunny. You dare use Jack Black to play Jack Black, to play a character playing Jack Black.
To play a character from a 1800s novel that you decided would be funny to turn into a bad comedy.
You have no sense of the funny, and you have cursed us and wasted our time. What do you have to say for yourself before I strike you down?
Whoa! What is it good for? Strike
Absolutely a fasting ye!
Oh Fear!